Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and it's my proud privilege to welcome you to this Guru Talk session. My name is Professor T.R. Subramanian, and our Guru for this morning is Mr. Harish Devarajan. Before I formally introduce the Guru to you, with your permission, I'd like to dwell a little bit about Guru Talk. What goes into the making of it and why we do it. In your 2-year session with us, you'll probably go through 20 subjects. And these 20 subjects, depending on your area of specialization, might be either marketing, finance, or HR. Now, although theoretically you will get all these lessons from very capable faculty, we believe it is necessary for you to be exposed to people from ordinary homes, like you and me, but who made it good in their lives. They moved from good to great. And you probably have heard so many of our countrymen who have been given national and international acclaim because they have graduated from good to great. Our Guru of this morning is one such person. He made it good and he achieved greatness, and during the course of his session with us, he will tell you how you too can make that great. The Guru Talk is quite a challenging and a daunting task to organize, because you have to find such people who have moved from good to great. Now that's difficult. Once you find them, you need to decide on the topic that you're going to give them to speak about. And then of course, because they have achieved a certain amount of distinction in their area of operation, they're always in great demand, and it's difficult for us to get them on the days we want. But these are all just to tell you that we take all this trouble to organize the Guru Talk for you, to get the exposure that we feel will make you into outstanding managers. This is the first inaugural session of the new semester. We will have one in April and in May, and then 3 more in October, November, and December. Now, a big team of people, dedicated people, work behind the scenes tirelessly to make this event happen. Sometimes our Guru is not from our local area. He is unable to travel because of prior commitments, so he says, can I speak from Delhi or can I speak from Dubai, where he is living or happens to be on a particular day. Our technological team supports us magnificently by giving us all the technology that we need to make this happen. So our grateful thanks to our technology team also. And I can't forget to thank our student desk. You must have already experienced some of their hospitality. They must have helped you in registering you for this session. They are a band of very young, very dedicated people, and we thank all of them for making this event happen. Before I formally introduce Mr. Harish Devarajan and request him to open the floor, I'd like to say a little bit about him. I must also tell you that Harish has admonished me not to say too much, because he is a very reticent, private sort of a person. But, you know, sometimes we have to put the resume or the bona fide biodata of the Guru Talk in front of you so that you understand the caliber of the people who come and address you in these Guru Talks. Harish spent his formative years in 2 outstanding companies. In '85, he joined TVS Sundaram Fasteners, and then later on moved to HUL. Now perhaps you know a great deal about Hindustan Unilever Limited, because it's a huge, huge multinational corporation. You may not know very much about Sundaram Partners. So let me just mention to you that Sundaram Partners was part of the TVS group. Now, I don't know how many of you know the TVS group. It's a very, very big name in South India, and it was an iconic sort of a name, a household name, if I may say so, in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and 80s and 90s. You couldn't move anywhere in South India without seeing the very comfortable trucks and lorries of TVS with a very spectacular logo in the center of it, moving goods, animals, machinery, what have you. Moving India, if I may say so. Nobody knew road transport better than TVS. But then here is where the good to great comes. They said that we need to move in with the knowledge into greater things. And they moved into the automotive sector. Sundaram Partners started in a very humble way by making nuts and bolts, basic low-tech stuff, but there was such a tremendous amount of dedication to the quality. And one of their very senior managers, who later on became the chairman of Sundaram Partners, Mr. Suresh Krishna, is credited with giving the humble radiator cab an outstanding global recognition for India. The radiator cab made at Sundaram Partners, Chennai, Madras, as it was then known, won worldwide acclaim, and General Motors decided to adopt it as part of their original equipment. I'm sure that our Guru Harish will have an occasion to mention how this happened, and probably there'll be a lesson or two to learn from the good to great concept that we're talking about here. At HUL, Harish held different positions and played different roles across the functions. He was in management. He reviewed and launched various processes, systems, and policies of HR. He was also into training and mentoring and coaching young managers, and the result of it is for all of us to see. I'm given to understand that HUL managers are very much sought after as expatriates by Unilever offices worldwide. There's a legendary story that I'd like to quote to you about Hindustan Unilever. They have a program called the Management Training Scheme. And this Management Training Scheme is something that other companies have adopted. And it's basically a scheme where they take a young graduate, fresh from college, who's a number one guy throughout his life in academics, and they train him to become various things in the company in the years that he will serve in the company. But at the end of the 18th month, when his training period is over, he is confirmed as a management trainee. And the legendary story goes, is almost a folklore, that the chairman of the company, chairman of Hindustan Unilever, wherever he is, he comes to the branch to which this management trainee is seconded. And he's there on the occasion to shake the hands of the young man and wish him well. So somebody asked one of the chairmen of Hindustan Unilever, why is it that this tradition is followed? And the answer was that, by the time this young man is confirmed, the company has provided 6 to 8 crores, incurred something like 6 to 8 crores of rupees in training him, which at that time was equivalent to the setting up of a factory. So the confirmation of the management training signifies the commencement of his productive years. And this is a tradition that Hindustan Unilever follows every year. And Harish will probably dwell on this also in the lesson from good to great that we hope this session will be able to convey to you. Harish's last assignment in Hindustan Unilever before he started on his own, was as vice president. And he did a tremendous amount of job for Unilever offices, not only in India, but in Pakistan, in Sri Lanka, in Bangladesh, and Nepal. Harish now works for himself. He runs an organization called People Unlimited, and he coaches and mentors young executives to move from good to great. Harish has also been awarded the Exemplary HR Award in 2007, and with your permission, I'd like to hand you over to Harish and thank him for being with us today. Now, this is the way how we will conduct the Guru Talk this morning. Harish will have a few things to say for the first 7 or 8 minutes after I hand the mic over to him. And then we will ask him 3 fundamental questions on the topic, which, as you know, is the MBA Edge. How the MBA will enhance and further your career. And that is why I thought I should mention Harish to you in detail, because I believe that nobody can do it better than him in explaining how the MBA Edge is going to help you. You've all joined this course with a lot of expectations and aspirations. I request you to feel free to ask Harish any question you like, and for that we will apportion something like 40 minutes, or if necessary longer, so that you can clear all your doubts, make use of Harish's presence to feel comfortable. And of course we'll give you a vote of thanks, and then the session will come to an end. Harish, once again, a very warm welcome to you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Ramani. I'm really sort of touched and feeling a little overwhelmed by the introduction you've given. I really don't know whether I moved from good to great, but most certainly I am on that path. That's my pursuit, to move towards greatness. And I believe that's what every professional, every young aspirant must aim to do. Yeah, and I'm in the journey still. Yeah, I don't think I've reached there as yet. It's been wonderful because there have been great people around me. There have been role models. There have been people who excel in what they do. And that stands out as an example for one to learn from. I'm not one who believes that there is one perfect role model for anybody. Gone are the days when you say that he's the person and I want to emulate him in every aspect. In today's context, I think we need to pick a number of role models. Different people excel in different things. And we need to pick a few of role models and learn and aspire to emulate different things from different people, so that one can really incorporate and integrate into oneself the best of many worlds. And I've been very lucky. You did mention about Sundaram Fasteners.
That's right.
And it was my privilege to have got the opportunity to start my career at Sundaram Fasteners. It was then a very fledgling organization, very small, 100 crores turnover, making nuts and bolts, but it had some outstanding, genuine, humanistic leaders, Suresh Krishna being the foremost. And out there what I learned was commitment, focus, and authenticity. And that's what makes for good leaders. They were all engineers, but they were practicing outstanding people leadership. And young technicians and sometimes school dropouts were integrated into that system, and they were inculcated the importance of quality. And Sundaram Fasteners stood for quality. And you spoke about the radiator cap, and General Motors acclaimed it as the best quality product getting into the General Motor car. And that was the accolade that Sundara Fasteners got. And this was manufactured by school dropouts, ITIs, and things like that. And it was possible only because of the culture of quality production that was integrated. And it's not just about production, it's about management. It's about leadership. Each one of us were trained and inculcated the aspect of making ourselves accountable to what people expect from us. As a leader, our stakeholders are the people whom we lead. And sometimes they are forced to follow, but many times they have the choice whether to follow you or not to follow you. And the quality of leadership that you deliver is what determines whether they will choose to follow you or not. And holding yourself accountable, looking at yourself in the mirror and asking yourself, will I follow this person who I see here? Is he authentic? Is he trustworthy? Is he somebody whom I can genuinely be trusting in? It's a question that you answer for yourself. And that's what I learned in Sundara Fasteners. And very soon I moved into Hindustan Unilever, where your peers are all outstanding. And you have to learn to recognize the greatness in your peers. Not look at them as competition, but look at them as a source of learning. Yeah? And what can you learn from each other? And how can you actually ensure that you support them and you seek support from them? And then it's a collective journey towards effectiveness and high achievement. And that's what that organization stands for. And I had the good fortune of creating, reviewing, and recreating the training programs and the management pipeline sourcing, the management training program. Yeah, we took high quality individuals, and mark you, we never restricted it only to MBAs. The management training program took MBAs, took graduate engineers, and took some high quality graduates as well.
Yes.
Because in Hindustan Unilever, we believed that your degrees tell a story, but more importantly, the raw material is what's more important. Yeah, you might come from the IIMs, you might come from XLRI, but it's not necessary that the best of minds only come from there. True. The best of minds sometimes don't get to those institutions. And it's important for us to tap into the wide array of good minds, great capable people, and bring them into the organization. Yeah, and we had to ensure that they have a common level playing field within the organization, and that was contribution in the organization. What you got before you came into the organization is only your visa into the organization, but what makes you grow is really your performance, your contribution, and your attitude to do what it takes to achieve success within the organization. So those have been my founding years, and I've learned hell of a lot. Yeah. And coming to today's topic, yeah, the MBA Edge. What do I believe about the MBA? I think the MBA program is a great curriculum which provides a thali meal, as it were. Yeah, when you go to a restaurant and ask for a thali meal, what you get is a little bit of many things.
Right.
Unlike an a la carte where you order for a dosa or gratin. In a thali meal, you have a puri, you have avial, you have rice, and you have sambar, and you have rasam, and you have chapati, and you have dal. You have many things served on a platter. Right. But all in limited quantities. It's for you to taste, check it out, and then decide which one you want to really savor more. And that's what an MBA does. It introduces you to a multitude of disciplines, many different modules and subjects, themes and topics, and then leaves it to the individual to decide which one he or she wants to dwell more on, delve into it, jump in deeper, and learn more, while they have got a good appreciation of the entire breadth of all that matters to a business organization. I think it provides an edge because you come well informed, you come with the ability to engage on multiple disciplines and topics, and with the quality of mind to dive deep into any one aspect which is relevant to the situation and be able to add value. I think that's the MBA Edge. And I think it helps anybody. And even those who don't have an MBA and join the organization pretty soon decide that they want to get the breadth. And either they do an online MBA program or they go for a quick 6-week advanced management development program. Or even those who don't do that, the organization in its wisdom provides exposure to different aspects of management and business during the early years of one's career in the organization. And that in some ways is a practical MBA. Yeah? And I believe it most certainly provides an edge for somebody to grow in their career and contribute to the organization. Having said that, I'm going to now allow you to ask me the questions and respond to it based on my experience and knowledge.
Thank you very much, Harish, for those really wonderful remarks that you made. In this particular group talk session, ladies and gentlemen, we've been very fortunate to have some of you students assist us in planning this activity. I'm delighted to inform you that 2 such students are with us in our midst. One is Deepa. Deepa is a wonderful student of ours, and we also have Balaji, who are both here with us in the studio, and they have a set number of questions which they will ask. You are most welcome, as I mentioned, to address your questions to our Guru, Mr. Devarajan. It will be printed out for him after you key it in, and he will be very happy to answer it. But to get the ball rolling, if you'll permit me, and if Mr. Devarajan does not mind, I'm going to ask him 3 questions, which I think is fundamental to this morning's session. Harish, may I?
Sure, please.
The first question is, why MBA? How does an MBA program help us to move further in our life, in our career?
Sure. As I mentioned in my opening remarks, the MBA program was basically designed to provide a theoretical introduction to the world of business. And based on the experience of many business leaders, for one to succeed in the business context, one needs to understand different dimensions of business. The aspect of production, manufacturing, operations, the aspect of the financial wellness of a business. How do you measure success from a financial perspective? How do you understand the customer and market your product to the potential customer? How do you manage the people resources within an organization to make all this possible? And equally important, how do you plan, strategize, and build an organization from its current level to greater heights? And all of this go to make the curriculum of an MBA program. And a student who chooses to do an MBA gets an insight into these different dimensions, appreciates the balance between these different functions or disciplines within business, and therefore when he or she begins the career in an organization, come with a certain amount of knowledge and understanding of the levers of a business organization. And therefore they are able to hit the road running. They are able to sort of contribute in a more deeper and faster manner. And all this helps. And therefore people who are clear that they want to make a career for themselves in a business organization, pursuing an MBA as a postgraduate qualification makes eminent sense. Yeah. And entry to an MBA program is not restricted to only those who do a business program in the graduation. Engineers are welcome. People who have chosen a liberal arts graduation program are welcome. People who have done a commerce or a finance undergraduate program are welcome. Why, even people who've done medicine or people who have chosen to do music at an undergraduate level are welcome. Because business requires diverse individuals with diverse interests and diverse backgrounds. And all it ends up doing is to provide them the necessary platform to sort of fly into the business world and make their contribution.
You know, what you say is very interesting, Harish, because I come from a corporate background in the early years. I hope you won't mind if I say this, where the MBA was a brand name which you wore around your neck. Whether that brand name became an albatross subsequently or not, that's a different matter. That's for Harish to decide. But is it a brand name which you flout? Or is it a visa that makes an entry possible for you like a visa and a passport does to various countries? I'm mentioning this because I remember that there were a number of companies in India at that time, and they're still there, doing much better than what they did at that time, where they preferred a young first-class graduate, say in economics or history or what have you. They would take him as a management trainee at the age of 20. This is not to say that they would not, prefer to have an MBA. Of course, they would love to have an MBA, but the MBA is acquired when you're about 23 or so. So they used to very beautifully balance a 20-year-old first-class graduate without an MBA, make him on-the-job training, as against the MBA who came with a certain amount of preconceived notions, perhaps. I don't know. Harish, would you like to comment on this?
Yeah. Even today, organizations take people into their management cadre, those without an MBA. But a large number of organizations are preferring to go in for MBAs these days. One, probably because of the dearth of time that they have at their disposal to groom a youngster in the different dimensions of business within the business atmosphere. The businesses are pressed for time, the businesses have great challenges, and the amount of time and effort that goes into providing one a complete exposure, they are unable to provide. And therefore they're saying, can I get an MBA who's got a little bit of a head start? But that doesn't mean the MBA has two horns and will be able to do all that it takes. All that it means is that they have a bit of a head start, but at the end of the day, they have to contribute. And you could very well have a person who's not done an MBA, but who's quick to learn and deliver and does exceptionally well. And organizations, good organizations, go on the merit of the performance rather than the fanciness of the degrees that they carry with them. Yeah, so when you go and pick up an MBA, you know that they've already got some exposure. So you hope and feel that they're going to hit the road running faster. Yeah, that's a hope. But at the end of the day, they have to deliver. And the proof of the pudding is in the eating. And unless and until they deliver, they are not going to go anywhere. And sometimes a non-MBA overtakes an MBA within the organizational career span. But a good resource will try to get inputs from every source, be it from an academic institution, be it from mentors, be it from the situations and challenges that they face within the organization. And they will learn from all these different sources and deliver. And my only thing is an MBA gives you that bit of a head start. Yeah, it's like opening the innings. Would you rather open the innings or come 8 down to bat? If you're a good batsman, you want to go higher up in the order. And that's what an MBA does. It gives you that little edge to open the innings, and then you are up and running if you have it within you to deliver and contribute.
Harish, I'm afraid you're going to be inundated with a lot of questions because my colleague Kiran has just sent me a batch of printed questions which have come from students. But before I go into those questions, one final question which I'm sure is on the top of the mind of most of the students attending this session. And on your behalf, I'm going to ask this because I think this needs a clarification from the Guru. The question is online MBA any different than a regular MBA? Harish, would you like to tackle that?
Yeah. Sure. I think it is different. We would be kidding ourselves if we said that it's no different. Yeah, it is different. Yeah. What are the key differences? Yeah. A regular MBA gets you to a classroom for a period of time and you are physically engaging with the professor. 2, with peers who are learning this program. And 3, have a structured, disciplined approach to the addressing and learning the curriculum. An online MBA provides you pretty much the same curriculum, but leaves you to decide when and how you want to focus your attention on those curriculum. And today's, thanks to technology, it even delivers the professor and the professor's lecture to you at home or at work, wherever you are pursuing this course. But it does not provide you enough opportunity to interact with the professor, ask all the questions that you want to ask, because interaction in a regular MBA program happens not just in the class, it happens in the canteen. It happens as the professor is walking away from the classroom. It offers you the opportunity to engage with the professor, maybe over the weekend at his home. That's the benefit of an in-presence MBA. The online MBA gives you the curriculum, gives you the professorial inputs. It even today offers you some project assignments, but not necessarily supervised as closely as it happens in a regular business school MBA. It does not necessarily offer you the peer contribution in a classroom. It does not necessarily offer you enough practice of all the new disciplines that you get exposed to. For this is the key difference between an online MBA and a school MBA. And of course, depends on which school you go to. There are some schools where entry is restrictive. It's based on entrance exams, and unless and until you're top of the pack, you don't get in. So there is some amount of selection, as it were, before you get into the school, and therein lies a certain value that gets added to the MBA as well. But if you look at it purely from the point of view of knowledge, an online MBA is as good as a regular MBA. If you take it from the value of skills, I think an online MBA is a bit shy in terms of providing you the skill capability as compared to a regular MBA, because enough practice opportunities have not been created.
So one may say that much more is expected from the students on an online MBA.
Absolutely, on their own.
And this is perhaps something that we will talk about in the subsequent few minutes that we have. So much more is expected from the students. They have to apply on their own volition. And I think you used the word commitment.
That's right.
And maybe a great deal of more commitment is needed from your side. Okay. Thanks a lot for those 3 questions being answered very forcefully. Now, I have a question here from a student. His name is Sharat Chandra Singh, L. Sharat Chandra Singh. And his question is, how can MBA General Management be advantageous over MBA specialized degrees or specialized degrees in HR, namely MHRM, PGD, HRM, etc.?
Sure.
Thank you, Sharat, for your question. The Guru will now tackle it.
So in an MBA program, you have the option of choosing to specialize. And there are a number of specializations available: specialization in finance, marketing, HR, operations, what you may. There is also the opportunity for you to specialize in a multitude of things. People choose to specialize across marketing, finance, and HR, and they call it general management. I think it's a choice that you make. Are you very clear in terms of what you want to be working, the area that you want to be working on? Are you very clear in terms of the journey that you want to pursue? If you're very clear, no, I want to be an HR person. I know that I'm made for this. This is where my passion lies, and I want to do HR. So you will pick all your electives in HR, and therefore you end up specializing in HR, an MBA in HR. It comes, one, from the clarity. 2, what you get is a greater depth as far as the HR specialization is concerned. Now, at that point in time when you're doing an MBA, you might be pretty open to saying that I'm okay to start my career in marketing, but I may want to actually move to finance as well. And I may want to do a bit of HR, and keeping all options open. Or, I actually want to be an entrepreneur. And as an entrepreneur, I need to do all of these things. I need to do marketing, I need to do finance, and I need to do HR. So that's a reason as to why I choose general management. So the choice that you make needs to be backed with a good rationale. Is it because you want to keep your options open? Or is it because you've chosen the field and you are ready to jump into that? Or you are actually wanting to be a general manager, balancing all these things in your career? And if you're an entrepreneur, you necessarily have to do it. But if you join a large organization like IBM, you might be called general manager, but quite often your responsibility area is quite focused. you're general manager HR or you're general manager finance. And if you've chosen to be in the discipline and that function, it's far better if you've chosen to specialize in that area and learn as much of that as possible. Because your core program anyway provides you an exposure to all the different disciplines. And when it comes to electives, you're actually sharpening and deepening your knowledge in the chosen field. I hope, Sarath Chandra, it addresses the question that you have posed.
Sharath, there is a second question from you, but with your permission, I'm going to tackle that later because I think we should give one question each to all the students in all fairness, and then time permitting, I'll come back to your question. Now, the question is from Dhruv by Jyoti Paul. And the question, sir, is what is the role of MBA in government sector? And that's a good question.
Interesting. Yeah. In my view, MBA is not restricted only to the private sector. The relevance of MBA is to all sectors. Yeah. And because you want success, you want effectiveness, and you want quality in every aspect of organizations, whether it's a business organization, whether it's a government machinery, or it's an educational institution. And what an MBA does is provides one, knowledge across different aspects. Two, it also hones your skills and capabilities in terms of effective delivery and contribution. Yeah. And in today's government, what we need is a high amount of effectiveness. And if we have people who understand the different levers of organizational effectiveness, they'll definitely be able to contribute. And today, a lot of people are taking the IAS exams with an MBA degree. And they do pretty well because they understand the workings of an organization, and government is an organization. Yeah? And therefore, in my view, it's very much relevant. And it is something that provides, what an IAS program does is in some ways an MBA. The 1.5 years that an IAS professional goes through is a management education at their institute. So in some ways, if you already have an MBA, you get into their institute, again with a head start of saying that, yeah, I've done some of these courses. So at the Dehradun Institute of Administrative Services, what they teach you is they teach you economics, they teach you finance, they teach you human resources, they teach you marketing, they teach you customer service, they teach you these things. And they also teach you the laws of the land, the constitution, and the judicial frameworks, and all of that. So it's in some ways a customized MBA for the government sector. That's what you get in the school at Dehradun.
Very, very true. Harish, there's a question from Dr. C. Satya. It's a bit of a long question, but I'll read it verbatim and then we will cull out the actual thing that he wants to ask us. He says, and I'm quoting Dr. Satya's question, having gone so far, do you believe it is necessary to have a professional engineering or medical or accountancy or even law for that matter prior to undergoing an MBA program, whether it's online, direct, weekend classes, or any other platform? If one is to choose a professional management career, another version of the same question would be, Dr. Satya, thank you for being helpful. Does MBA program go hand in hand with those professional courses? How handicapped are those professionals, people who have done engineering, medical accounts, without an MBA? I'm a senior specialist doctor and in the government service, in the middle level of management or administration. Over to you, sir.
Wonderful question. It's a wonderful question, yeah. Like I said, your undergraduate degree does not in any way, put you at an advantageous position when you do an MBA. Yeah. All it does is it provides you an exposure in a particular area, but now you have decided that you want to do management as a pursuit, and therefore you're coming for a management education. Now, Irrespective of which background you come from, all of you have to get exposed to economics, all of you have to get exposed to finance, all of you have to get exposed to customer service, all of you have to get exposed to operations, and all of you have to get exposed to the human resources aspect of management. If somebody has done an engineering graduation, he or she starts to find operations a little easier. He is strong in the quantitative aspects and is able to appreciate the models that are used in the management curriculum. If somebody is coming from an economics graduate program, they're able to understand economics a little better than the others, only till the first or the second class. After that, the intelligent person is able to quickly grasp the nuances of economics and is able to apply it. So, as long as you have basic levels of intelligence, it doesn't matter what your graduate program was. Now that you come into this postgraduate program, an MBA course, as long as you're able to apply your mind and sort of learn the models, the frameworks, and the methods, you, when you pass out, will be on par with anybody else. So, in my opinion, your undergraduate degree does not in any way help you too much or hinder you too much in terms of your excellence in the management program. And your second question, in terms of a senior specialist doctor, that's what you are. Will an MBA program help you? I think it will. If you're only practicing and consulting with the patients, it will not. But if you have to manage a hospital, if you have to manage a group of doctors in terms of the consulting that they do to people, there is a certain amount of management involved in that. And that's where an MBA comes into play. And you're in the government service. And who knows, tomorrow you'll have to make policies in the health department, in the space of health and wellness. And for that, a management degree helps you to plan, think, and execute things in a far more effective manner. Without MBA, can you do it? Of course you can if you're intelligent enough and to learn the ropes even without a course. An MBA program provides you in a structured fashion and you are ready for it even ahead of time.
Dr. Satya, I'm sure you're happy with that answer. Now, I have something like 11 questions in front of me, but both Balaji and Deepa have been very patiently waiting their turn to ask their questions. So I'm going to move away from the bunch of questions that are in front of me, and I'm going to invite Balaji and Deepa to ask their questions. Maybe we'll start with Deepa. Deepa, over to you.
On behalf of Balaji and myself, we have a set of questions here, and I would like to ask you one general question as to what do you think should be the qualities of a good people manager?
Sure.
And how do we recognize and develop leaders in our team, not necessarily with a title?
Okay. So the question, as I understand, is what characteristics go to make a good people leader, and how do we build and develop such capabilities in our team members? Yeah. Quite often I find a lot of people, HR people, who say they've chosen HR because they like being with people. My immediate retort to them is, who doesn't like being with people? You think the marketing guy doesn't like being with people? Or do you think the operations guy doesn't like being with people? Everybody likes being with people. But that's not good enough reason for you to be an HR person. Yeah. And therefore, a people manager, in fact, I would consider a person a people manager if he or she takes into account the people dimension of managing the situation, the context, the function seriously and gives it enough attention. This is what I call as people manager. Okay. So if you have a production manager who is not only bothered about the quality of production, the usage of the material, and the finish of the product, but is equally interested in terms of ensuring that the people who are working in his department, in his team, are productive, are able to provide their best, and are in fact enjoying working and contributing in that context as a people manager. And in the sales function, is the sales manager only interested in the sales that's been delivered, or is he interested in the engagement of his team with the customer? Is he interested in terms of how are people learning and growing and delivering better? Is there an opportunity for that? Is there sufficient recognition for good work that's done? And is there certain feedback to those who need to do better? I call them a good people manager. Yeah. So if I were to define people manager in that sense, what characteristics go to make a good people manager? Anybody who is genuinely interested in the people resources at his or her disposal. Anybody who is genuinely engaging with the people under his command. Anybody who is providing enough inputs for the development of the people in her team. This is what I would call as the key characteristics for a good people manager. Genuine engagement, genuine inputs, and genuine opportunities for the people to actually deliver and contribute. Those, to my mind, are the three key characteristics for a good people manager.
Thank you, Harish. And maybe a continuation of that question is, what do you think are the difference between a good people manager and a leader?
Sure. So, is a good people manager automatically a leader? Yeah, quite often we run into this question because a leader cannot be there without people, because you have to lead. And to lead, you need to lead people. Yeah, so is it leader equal to people manager? In my opinion, being a people manager is a necessary condition to be a leader, but not sufficient. All people managers don't become leaders. But can you be a leader without being a people manager? No. So you have to be a people manager if you aspire to be a leader, but you got to do much more than that. You got to do much more than just taking care of your people. As a leader, you've got to create a vision. As a leader, you should be able to sort of see the good from the bad. As a leader, you should be able to choose the situation, choose the direction, choose the opportunities that the team needs to engage in. And therefore, they need to have that delta in terms of being able to direct, lead, and choose opportunities for the whole team. So20 management is a key requirement, but it's not sufficient.
The next question.
Sure. We have 15-20 minutes more. Harish has another engagement, but he's very kindly offered to stay and tackle 5 more minutes of questions. So if we keep the questions a little short, and then we can come straight to the point, because I have a whole lot of other questions also. Over to you, Balaji.
Okay. Harish, I have a question. See, how can you be a better manager rather than like a people pleaser? The expectation from people that you lead is something individual, whereas as a manager, you have certain tasks defined to you. So how can you be a better manager to get things delivered and also satisfy your people?
Sure. I think it's at the end of the day deciding as to what are you accountable for. Are you accountable to just make people happy? Or are you accountable to make things happen? Yeah. Now, as a manager, you have multiple stakeholders. The people you manage are one such stakeholder. Yes. The organization or the boss is a stakeholder. Your peers are stakeholders. Your customers are stakeholders. Yeah. The people who are invested in your business are your stakeholders. There are multiple stakeholders. And as a manager, you need to ensure that there is a balance in terms of satisfying all the stakeholders. So if you only please your people, and then you might say, let's go and party, yeah, let's go and have fun, don't worry about the pressures, yeah, do what you can, don't worry about the target. You're not going to be satisfying the other stakeholders. A good manager balances all these things. You can't just slave drive your people and meet the business targets, in which case this is not sustainable. At some point of time, people will start leaving your team. The quality of contribution will start dipping. So there is a balance that a manager, a good effective manager, will try to achieve, and not just please one stakeholder at a point in time. Yeah, you need to have the balance. Okay.
Can we move on to a question from Mayur? Mayur has a very interesting question for you, Harish, and I'm reading it out. Distance MBA is not considered equivalent to a regular MBA by many business organizations. Do you think working professionals practicing management principles on a day-to-day basis and studying MBA online would be at par with one of the regular MBA types? Would preference be given to any specific mode of teaching?
Great question, Mayur. Yeah, and I think that's on top of the mind of everybody who does a distance MBA. Yeah. So why do organizations not treat me on par with somebody who's done a full-time MBA from a business school? Yeah. Let me be very honest. There is a norm, there is an average. As a norm and as an average, a person who goes to a business school for an MBA program, focusing 2 years of his or her time only to the acquisition of a management knowledge and skills, is expected to get more out of that program than somebody who's doing this part-time or alongside something else that they're focused on. So that's the average or the norm. That doesn't mean that everybody who goes to a business school ends up acquiring much more than anybody who does an online MBA. Neither does it mean that anybody who does an online MBA is inferior in terms of the knowledge and skills that they've acquired from everybody who's gone to a business school. Yeah, it's not true either of the cases. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're not able to set aside 2 years of full-time engagement for a management education, and you realize the need for a management education at a later point in time after you've joined an organization and you've started contributing, you will have to do the best of the situation. Make best use of what you have. And it is your commitment, it's your focus, and it is the kind of effort that you're willing to put in to acquire all that's possible and apply it in the context and situations that are available to you. You can most certainly be far superior to any MBA from any of the business schools. I have seen examples of high quality leaders leading organizations even though they have not acquired an MBA. I come from Hindustan Unilever. We have had chairmen of companies in the Unilever world who did not have a management in business administration. All they had was a graduate qualification. But they put in enormous efforts. They learned from all practical sources. And they ensured that their contribution stood out. And they rose to the very highest levels in the organization.
True.
So an MBA from a business school is not the only route to success. An online MBA provides you access to the knowledge, but what you do with that knowledge, how you hone your skills, and how you end up contributing in your business environment is far more important. And an online MBA provides you the knowledge in a package rather than you scouting all around for learning the tricks of the trade. Yeah? So use this, add on to this with your own commitment, contribution and focus, and you could very well overtake the people from the premier business schools.
I hope you're happy with that very candid answer, Mayur. Thank you very much, Harish, for that. Sharath, I'm going to skip your question, which is how far MBA distance learning courses be useful as compared to full-time ones, because I think the Guru has just tackled it. And I think, it'll be a bit of a repetition. So I hope you'll forgive me for doing that, because we need to get on with other questions. Here's a very interesting one, slightly different from what you answered, but I think it's an interesting question from Sivalakshmi Narayana. And Sivalakshmi says, what was the difference? I think she means what is the difference between persons coming from different background? How can an MBA make difference between them?
Sure.
I think that's an interesting question.
Sure. And I think, like I said, entry to a management MBA program is not dependent on what you did at your undergraduate level. You get engineering students, you get medical students, you get commerce students, you get science students, you get arts and humanities students coming in. Yeah, is there a difference? It depends on why you chose to do what you did in your undergraduate program. In today's context, a lot of people do arts and science program because they don't like mathematics. They don't like numbers. Not all. There are some people who are very good in their maths and science, but choose to do an economics program because they love economics. They are fascinated by the world of economics. If you're one of those who chose to do a program because you were not good at either numbers, or you were not good in language, or you were not good in terms of appreciating the ambiguous concept frameworks, you will have a challenge when you come to an MBA program. Because an MBA program has got a bit of everything. You have to be numerically competent. You got to be language proficient. You should be able to conceptualize and articulate what's in your mind so that you're able to impress upon the audience. All of this is required. And therefore, if your undergraduate program choice was because you didn't have proficiency in one or other capabilities, it's going to be a bit of a struggle. Not impossible, but a bit of a struggle for you to pick up that capability and become proficient. Because at the end of an MBA program, hopefully, you would understand models, you would understand graphic representation, you would be able to conceptualize an idea into a process, you will be able to also articulate and communicate to people what and how things have to be done, and for which you need competencies which span the spectrum. Yeah? And therefore, you're not at a kind of a complete discount when you come from an engineering background, from an arts background, but you have to put in enough efforts to sort of cope up, make enough efforts to cope with the demands of the program on those dimensions.
Here's another question from one Mr. Singh.
Yeah.
I'm going to read it out because I think much of it you've already answered. So you decide whether you want to answer a portion of it or not. Mr. Singh asks as follows. As per QS rankings, none of the Indian universities is ranked in top 200 in the world. What could be the acceptance of an online or distance management degree in the global arena?
I think it's a great question. Yeah. First of all, you need to understand the QS rankings have got a framework and a process of ranking universities, yeah, in which the infrastructure that is created there, the kind of research that happens there, the faculty qualifications, the kind of patents that gets registered by the people in the university, all these things go into determining the QS ranking. And that's why you find a lot of Indian universities not making there. I'd like you to look at it from a different perspective. Leave the universities aside. If you were to look at leaders in global organizations, where do people from an Indian education stand? I can proudly tell you, people with an Indian educational background today stand equal to people from any other part of the world. So many multinationals today have an Indian heading the organization. Practically, 80% of the Fortune 100 companies have an Indian in their high potential list. And a large number of them already have an Indian in their management committees. Yeah. So what does this tell you? Irrespective of the rating of the university, what really matters is the individual, what the individual has picked up, ingrained, and is able to leverage to contribute and apply in the organizational context. Having said that, therefore, if you have done an online MBA, does that in any way reduce your ability or opportunity to contribute? The answer is no. In fact, in the Western world, an online MBA is accepted as the preferred way of learning and picking up knowledge and skills. In India, it's a second-rate approach. To my mind, you have to have confidence in yourself. Say that I know why I'm doing this, I know what I want out of this, and I know how I'm going to apply it. It doesn't matter whether you went to a B school or whether you did it online. As long as you know what you're doing and you are focused on doing it and actually push yourself to do it in the best way possible.
Harish, I need to seek your indulgence because a hell of a lot of questions pending. It's almost getting to be our closing time.
Sure.
Can I ask 3 or 4 questions?
Sure, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
And can you kindly answer these to
Yeah,
the students? Here is one from Pradeep Behara. And Pradeep's question is, short and simple, how an MBA can help to a small entrepreneur? I think that's a good question.
Fantastic. In fact, if you ask me, Pradeep, an MBA is probably most relevant to an entrepreneur. Most relevant to an entrepreneur. Because quite often, people do an MBA, get into an organization, a large organization, and they're given a job which is a fraction of all that the organization does, and in a particular functional discipline. A small entrepreneur, on the other hand, is responsible for all aspects of the business in his small outfit. He has to take care of finance, he has to take care of marketing, he has to take care of people, he needs to take care of operations, and he needs to take care of quality. And what better preparation to be successful in a small entrepreneurship outfit than an MBA degree or an MBA exposure. A lot of entrepreneurs are self-made MBAs. They don't have a degree, they have not gone to school and studied, but they have learned to manage and balance all the different dimensions and pulls of a business. To my mind, today if you see, a lot of businessmen send their children to do an MBA because they realize that with that exposure and qualification, they can help run that business in a better way. Yeah, and therefore, if you are a small entrepreneur, doing an MBA is absolutely the right direction to go in.
Thank you so much. I think this question we can skip with the Guru's permission. And the question is, how far MBA distance learning courses can be useful as compared to full-time ones? I think you already answered that.
Covered, yeah.
So I hope the questioner doesn't mind. We go to the next question. And I would like Balaji to come in. I think Balaji has been very patiently waiting to ask a question. Over to you, Balaji. Balaji is one of our students who's helped us in planning this session.
This is something from me and Deepa. So we are requesting to give some inputs on how we can become from good to great.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, but I think a lot of questions that you have addressed emanates from the concern that all of you have that I've not had the opportunity to do a full-time MBA. I'm right now further in my career, I'm in an organization, for whatever reason, I'm not able to pull myself out to do a full-time MBA in a business school. Am I missing out on something? Am I going to be second rate? Does that put me at a disadvantage when compared to from somebody who comes from a IIM or a business school or what have you? My only, sort of two-penny advice to you is don't feel bad about what you have. Look at what can you do to get the best out of your situation. You now have exposure to the MBA curriculum. It's no different from what is taught at the IIMs. The curriculum is the same. Great stuff. Try to get the most out of it. What does a person who goes to a full-time MBA have which I don't have? They have the opportunity to interact with faculty outside of class. Can I, therefore, do my bit to reach out to people who have knowledge and who have capabilities to engage with them and seek mentorship from them? You can do it at your workplace. You can do it in your social settings. When you find somebody who is in a leadership position, who is in a managerial position, who's actually got competence in a particular area, can I seek out to understand from them what works, what doesn't work? Can I go and ask them some questions that I have? Can I seek some mentors? Can I request a couple of them to be my mentors? So when you're doing an online MBA, have you gone out there and chosen one or two people as your mentors with whom you can spend some time and get some inputs from them? You can do that most certainly. Third, I may not have a classroom of peers to learn from because I'm not going to a full-time MBA. Can I pick up a handful of people who are pursuing an MBA program, distance MBA program, and say that can we get together and meet once a month for a couple of hours so that we can learn from each other as to how we are looking at a particular concept and how we are seeing its application. So create your own little study groups, not to study the subject, but to learn about the application of the subject, how it's applied in different contexts. Can you do it? Most certainly you can do it. You would then sort of be bridging the gap between a full-time MBA and a distance MBA program. And finally, what happens in a full-time MBA is you're forced to apply your learning by way of project works and assignments. In an online MBA also that is tried to be offered to you, but how seriously do you take it? With what commitment do you actually execute it? And who holds you accountable? Do you hold yourself accountable for learning through that process? If you do it, I don't see any reason as to why you who are pursuing an online MBA cannot be as good and as competent and as knowledgeable and as skilled as somebody who does a full-time MBA. It's in your hands and you can do it.
Thank you. Balaji, does that answer your question? Sir, can we just tackle two final questions?
Sure.
Question number one. We don't have the name of the sender, but that doesn't matter. It says, what do organizations look for in an MBA candidate? I think that's a good question.
Yeah. So 1, quality of mind. 2, clarity of purpose. 3, a track record of having worked hard and contributed in the chosen field. That's what one looks for. And that you have an MBA, you have got a breadth of knowledge across different disciplines, and they would definitely want to check as to why you came to do an MBA and have you actually acquired the breadth of knowledge. 2, do you know what each concept or principle actually is useful for? And are there examples of where you have actually contributed and applied these things? Yeah, and that's what we look for in an MBA. And as an online MBA, it will be no different.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the final question. And when I say final, I mean final. But don't get disheartened, because if you have some more questions, or if some of your questions have not been answered, you're most welcome to contact the help desk directly. Post those questions and we'll get Harish to reply. Harish has very kindly agreed to furnish the answers. So please don't get disheartened if your questions, because of paucity of time, has not been answered. So here's the final question. Light-hearted question, Harish. You might like to move away from the seriousness with which we have addressed the question so far. The question is it advisable for a husband and wife MBA team to work in the same company?
Yeah. I think this is something that number of people keep asking. Yeah, organizations have policies both ways. Some organizations say husband and wife can't be in the same organization. Some organizations say, wow, bring it on. Yeah, we want the couples to join our organization. Yeah, I think there are some challenges, but as long as those are addressed, I think it works well. Yeah, but the husband and the wife may want to decide: do I want to continue to engage with the spouse beyond with the home timings as well? Yeah, so it's for you to check out and decide. If you love yourselves so much, maybe you should start your own company and work together 24/7, at office, at home, and out in the park.
Thank you so much, Harish. Now, since making that statement about the final question, here is yet another question just being fed to me by a gentleman called Alijit. Now, it's a long question, and most of it you have answered. But let me just take one portion, because I want Avijit to get an answer from you, sir. It says, which degree is more acceptable? The part-time MBA or the regular MBA? Because knowledge will, once you will ask for that after your degree. I don't understand the last part, but maybe you could answer the first part.
So, which is preferable, an online MBA or a regular MBA? Yeah. To my mind, that's an MBA is par for the course. Whether it's online or full-time, it doesn't matter. I, as a recruiter, I as a people manager, I as a leader, will want to know as to how you intend to make use of that MBA. Show me some proof of how you have learned and you applied what you have learned. To my mind, that is the most important thing. Yeah. So ask yourself, what have you learned and where and how have you applied it, and can you show and sort of showcase it to potential employers and your organizations.
Ladies and gentlemen, it only remains for me, on your behalf and on behalf of everyone gathered here, to extend our most profound and grateful thanks to our Guru of this morning, Harish Devarajan. I think all of us will agree that Harish answered each question with great passion, with great conviction, and with great honesty. And I think you will agree with me that we are leaving this session wiser on the subjects than we were in when we came in. On your behalf and on behalf of all of us, may I thank you, Sir Devaraj, for spending so much of your valuable time with us. And thank you all for coming. The next session is scheduled for the 19th of April. And the subject is required, is facelift for the Indian youth. I repeat that again. 19th of April, it's a Sunday, same time, 10 a.m. And the subject is required, a facelift for the Indian youth. So ladies and gentlemen, any one of you who wants to help us plan this session, if you have some suggestions to offer, feel free to write in. But the closing date for receipt of all mail on this issue will be the 26th of March, not later than that. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day. And thank you once again, Harish, for being with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Bye-bye to you all.